The Mariners lose the series to the Milwaukee Brewers, but honestly, I'm starting to see some good signs. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the series analysis episode of the Seattle Baseline Podcast. My name is Julian Smith, and I'm with Alex Hong. Alex, we're back together. Previous episode, I was like, hopefully, I'm very hopeful that we'll be back together in the next episode, but we are back this
We
time,
had better
and
planning this time, I'd say, in terms of recording time.
yeah, the Nittany Julian didn't replace you, Alex. So don't worry. I know there's a bunch of fans out there for this guy. When I say beautiful faces, I mean like look at that face. It's this guy's amazing. Like that.
I didn't know I didn't know you were gonna do that. I did last time. It's pretty funny to me how you brought that out. I have some stuffed animals that are large, that are lying around the house that I could probably throw out in case I'm ever alone in the future.
Yeah, this guy's great. He doesn't talk, but like he adds substance to our channel. So if if your friends want to see the Nittany Jew Lion, that'd be great if you can push this guy to them. He's always kind of happy. He always has this same happy face like every single day. So yeah, he's gonna sit next to me. But Alex, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. You know, watching that series after that first game, I think, that first game was about as bad as you can get. It was so bad to where people around my area, right? Because I think, no, it was because that game was on Monday, correct? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
No, it was Tuesday. It was
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Wednesday morning, I was actually volunteering at a soup or at like a food and clothing bank, right? And the people there were talking about the Mariners, and they're like, "Wow, did you see yesterday's game? Because it cannot get worse than that." And I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, it could not. Like it was terrible, and it just went wrong in so many levels." But we did, and I thought we were just screwed for the entire series. I was like, oh, well, this must just be the Mariners, right? This is such a Mariners thing to do, and we somehow end up winning that second game. So at least we got one win out of three in this series. Because after the first game, it looked like we were getting zero.
Yeah, like 22 to nothing is the first time in major leagues since 1888. Imagine that. That is longer than the Mariners history. That is longer than you know we have statues of Edgar Martinez, we have statues of Ichiro, and like all these guys history does not even go back to 22 to nothing like before this. So the Mariners really did make history in on Tuesday, and I'm glad Seattle's there to talk about it because, yeah, being historical is great, I guess. So, but to your point, Alex, like they won the second game after losing 22 to nothing. I mean, their mental must be crushed. Like every first game in the past two series, obviously it's two series, but the first game in the last two series, the Astros and the Brewers, the Mariners lose in some like really excruciating way. Like it really eats on your nerves to watch that first game. But then the second game, they come out of the gate. They get Dustin May out in the second inning after scoring 7 runs. And they and Dustin May was going to be their best pitcher going into this series for the last 7 game stretch. And the Mariners did that against Dustin May. They get him out. The offense, I felt like, is showing that resilience that I was talking about in the previous series against Houston. The offense is really showing up and saying, we're not taking no for an answer. And like, even if we lose, we're going to make sure that we put some damage. The only game that didn't happen is the 22 to nothing, but then they came out of the gate and scored 7 in the next game, and then they scored 4. I think the offense won this series, but the pitching staff lost the series.
Yeah, that 22 nothing game was bad, but it's like a little it's made worse because we threw in Rivas and in the eighth inning and the Brewers scored so many runs off of that. But The main concern I had with that first game was just the errors. Like the amount of errors we made was crazy. That Cal Raleigh, it should have been clearly out, right, at home. He was way out, and the Cowboy just dropped the ball. Julio had that dumb mental error where he just threw the ball into the stands I think that was when there was one out in the eighth inning. Or no, I think at that point there would have been two outs in the eighth inning. So that was dumb. Josh Naylor just dropping these balls at first base. It's just like the lack of focus to me was really frustrating because these errors, although there are so many reasons why we lost that game, the errors aren't just it, but the errors were a contributing factor, and it's like, wow, this is why we lost this bat because of those errors. But outside of that, like one thing I was impressed is the walks because we
Mhm.
talked about how the Mariners they just seem to not be able to walk this year because they were able to walk last year, and the thing is, even in that 22-0 game, we still walked like an average rate, like four walks. That's I think teams average like between three and four walks a game, so like 3.5 or something like that. So you know, like a good team, I think, averages around 3.5. So the fact that we got four walks is pretty good. In the second game, we got another I think the second game we got five walks. And then the third
Yeah,
game, I think we
6.
got six walks. So we were really walking, and that's really good to see for me. So that's something I was really impressed by.
Yeah, I really agree because like in this channel we've talked about the forced walk, and I think the Mariners showed that this time. I mean, like because they were forcing the walks, Brendan Donovan was getting hits because they don't want to walk him. They want to do whatever they can to get him out. The only way that you get someone out is if you throw it in the strike zone, if they're not going to swing at the stuff that you put away from the zone. And that's to me how Brendan Donovan just kept on getting on base was because he knows how to see the ball. We were talking about it since he came back from injury. The issue was not that he forgot how to watch a baseball. He knew how to hit a baseball, or he knew how to look at a baseball and identify the strike to the ball. He just couldn't hit it because his injury was nagging on him, and now it's not. Now he's on full cylinders, and his eye is still the elite eye. His eye is really, really at that elite level, and I think that's the reason why his pitch identification is so good. Even if he fouls something off that's not on the plate, it's still it's still a foul ball. He knows how to work that count. And I think that's exactly what the Mariners needed going into the season. And they're finally getting it now that Brendan Donovan's back from injury. So that's super awesome to see. And I think the rest of the players there are picking up on what he's doing and they're implementing it into their game. I think Brendan Donovan's showing them the way, and all the other players, they're getting hits, they're getting walks, getting on base. They don't need to hit 5 home runs to win the game. 5 solo shots is not as good as 6 runs scored by singles. And so what I'm seeing from the Mariners right now is trending up. I wouldn't say they're up there yet, but they're definitely trending up offensively. And that's really, really good to see going into the next stretch.
hmm the Donovan thing is good because we were talking about how we were worried, and Donovan, he got brought back on the roster. He wasn't hitting in AAA, but now he seems to be doing some damage. And Donovan was one of our best players on offense, especially this entire series. So it's really good to see the things he's doing because a good Donovan is a big boost to our team. It's kind of like a trade acquisition, like a trade deadline acquisition. Because to be honest, most of us probably like forgot he was even on the team, right? Because he was gone for so long. But now he's back and now he's doing damage right now, so that's good to see. And another guy, Josh Naylor, he's been having a good stretch recently. So I can see the potential with this offense. I'm just still concerned because Cal Raleigh still isn't hitting. Julio's a little inconsistent. We got Taylor Ward. He's not really doing anything right now. So there are still some holes on this offense, but I do agree, like in this series, especially against the Brewers team, I think we did decently. And especially because that first game, if you look at it, was really bad, but it's a little skewed because, the Bryce Miller kind of blew it up, and the Mariners decided to toss the game essentially. And the thing is, the Mariners back end of the bullpens were really bad. So once we throw those guys in, like Michael Rucker, Nick Davila, um, Leo Rivas for instance, we're gonna end up giving up a lot of runs. So that's why I feel like we do get like the teams do like run up the score a lot against us because our back end of the bullpen is really, really bad.
One thing that I want to talk about here, you just mentioned Taylor Ward. Stop going to Taylor Ward and go with Victor Robles. Victor Robles has been one of the best hitters for the Mariners. Literally, we just talked about Josh Naylor. We just talked about Brendan Donovan. Victor Robles has been one of our best hitters in the past 15 games that he's played, and they aren't using him. Taylor Ward has a broken strategy right now. That walk strategy only worked because people were expecting him to hit a bunch of home runs. And like his strategy completely shifted. He needs to be a hybrid of what he was last year and what he is this year. He needs to be on base 350 and like forcing the walk. The forced walks that I like we've been talking about for a while now. Taylor Ward needs to do that, and he's not. We need Victor Robles out there because he quite literally won us the series with Brock Rodden in the Houston series. And he could have been a huge spark plug for this offense going into the Brewers series. And for some reason, the Mariners just want to go to Taylor Ward because he is a trade acquisition. That's a sunk cost. Don't do that. Mariners need to implement what they think or what is the actual best players on the roster. Victor Robles is like top 3 player in the Mariners right now, at least in that 15 game stretch. So I want to see Victor Robles until he proves to me that he's not really it.
Yeah, I agree with you on Robles. He's had a really good last stretch. The funny thing is, he is slugging. He's just not hitting homers, right? He's getting these triples, which I feel like is really interesting. That doesn't happen nowadays. But yeah, I've been pretty impressed by his play, and we've always been impressed with his defense, right? Last year, he had the insane catch against Houston, for example. So, I'm excited about Robles, doing a lot better recently. That's a player to look out for. And then Brock Ronnie, you mentioned. I didn't when we called him up because we demoted Emerson, I didn't really think anything of him, but he's been amazing, right? I don't know what to say. I didn't really see this coming, but and who knows, right? It's literally been 2 series and who knows if it's sustainable or not, but he's been good. I gotta admit. Now he's been striking out a lot. That's something that has been happening, but I'm not too surprised. Usually rookies strike out quite a bit, but he's getting, he got a hit in every single game, and half of his hits were extra base hits. So props to him.
Yeah, props to him. He's really transitioned well into the big leagues. And you just said the strikeouts. Maybe that's part of his game. I don't know. That's probably like going to be a part of his game. Kind of like, Brent Rooker from the Athletics. He strikes out a lot, but he's also a really good hitter. Maybe Brock Rodden's that type of hitter.
I don't know, like
But
Murakami, for example.
yeah, like is he going to sustain this? We don't know yet. From what we've seen from Cole Young and Cole Emerson, the transition to the big league always starts with good because they don't have a scouting report on him, and then bad once they get a
Bad.
scouting report on him, like straight up like unplayable bad, and then they get into this stage of their career where they now beat their own scouting report and they start hitting, and that's where it starts to like middle out. That's the part where obviously Brock Rodden's been here for less than a week. He hasn't really reached that yet. And so I'm excited to look for that. But we have JP Crawford on the bench if need be. And the Mariners, when it comes to shortstops, are in a pretty good spot right now. Offensively, Mariners have been pretty good. And I'm excited going into this Cubs series.
Yeah, let's talk about that Cup series coming up because it is at home, right? And we got some news for this Cup series, and we haven't even mentioned it yet,
Oh, yeah. Here
right?
we go.
So we just learned recently that it looks like the Mariners are calling up the one and only Cade Anderson. No, not that guy. That guy, if he's, I'm not gonna lie, if Ichiro played right now, I don't even think he can do anything for us. But Cade Anderson is getting called up to start on Saturday. So, Julian, what are your thoughts? Because this is quite the call up. This is something that, we kind of maybe mentioned a little bit earlier in the year as a possibility, but now it's becoming a reality.
Um, yeah, that this is a win now move. This is what like there's trade deadline acquisitions, and then there's this. This is basically a trade deadline acquisition for the Mariners because they Cade Anderson is a major leaguer in the minor leagues. He has put up 1.06 earned run average. The pitchers are a lot easier to adjust into the major leagues because you've already seen their stuff with the same ball. With the batters, it's tougher because like they have to adjust to the major league pitching versus the pitchers, they're the ones getting adjusted to. So like when it comes to Cade Anderson, I feel like he's actually going to start off really nice. And maybe there's a portion of his career where like they're going to make the scouting report on him. They didn't know some stuff about him that they do now, and then they're going to adjust to him. But I have full confidence that Cade Anderson's going to come out to the major leagues and be that guy for the Mariners, kind of like what Paul Skeens did for Pittsburgh. And also, I really like that his velocity isn't that high, and yet he's been putting up a lot of strikeouts because that means that he's durable. And to me, the sign that he's good is that his four seam fastball is getting whiffs. His slider is getting whiffs. He's got four great pitches. I'm not going to call them elite yet because you have to be elite like in the major leagues for me to call them elite. Like Mason Miller's slider is elite, but Cade Anderson, we don't know yet. He has extremely good command. I mean, like George Kirby command might be even better. He came into the minor leagues with everybody knew he had better command than Paul Skeens did, and he's going to come show that in the major leagues. I am really excited, especially because right now, especially in the previous series, Miller and Kirby didn't play that well, and I think it's time that we have the guy who's literally been one of the best pitchers in the minor leagues come up.
Yeah, his walks per nine is 1.3. That's all I need to say about his command, right? If you just look at that statistic alone, like these statistics are unbelievable, right? 1.06 ERA, like you mentioned, 0.643 whip, 13 strikeouts per nine, 1.3 walks per nine. Like what even is this? This is like insane. And I know the Mariners don't like moving their pitchers up to AAA, so he kind of probably would have been AA for a while, and maybe. I would say like there is an argument to be made if the Mariners aren't going to do anything this year. You keep it in and keep him in case there's the lockout that ends up leading into the season. And because I'm not sure how the contracts are really going to work in that regard. But the Mariners clearly want to win now, right? Maybe Dan Wilson, his job is on the line or whatever. That's not really his decision to make anyways, but they're a little more urgency, and the Mariners are like, hey, we got a guy who's talented. We got to call him up and see what happens. It reminds me of kind of what the Blue Jays did last year with Savage, where they called him up, right? And Savage hasn't had that good of a year this year, but last year they called him up. He was pretty good, and he was dominant in the playoffs. So if this is something the Mariners can do where they can make the playoffs, first of all, we have to even make the playoffs. Like Kate Anderson comes in and is kind of like that extra arm that came out of nowhere. So I think that's what the Mariners are hoping to get out of him. We talked a lot about Cade and stuff, so it looks very promising, doesn't even throw very hard, and he gets all these whiffs. We'll see what happens when he gets to the majors. Probably expect him to be on a pitch count for sure. Every single young pitcher that gets called up, they don't throw like 100 pitches, for example, in their first few starts. So definitely going to be on a pitch count. But, right now with Miller and Kirby, it's just not working. And especially with Miller. Like we talked about how we're concerned about Miller, and he hasn't had a good start in 3 months, I feel like, or maybe 2.5 months. Kirby at least had a few good starts recently. So it's interesting if they end up doing this because of like the Wu possible injury or if they do this because they're wanting to replace, Miller, for example. I would think Miller's the one to get replaced if there's someone because he's just been bad. Like there's just no other way around it. Kirby's either been really good or really bad. Bryce Miller's just been bad.
Yeah. I mean, like, what if I tell you this guy's changeup has a 48% whiff rate? You know how insane that is? Like, we talk about 30% strikeout rate being bad. This guy's changeup is almost 50% whiff rate. That's insane. I mean, that means that against right-handers, as a lefty, his changeup is basically the righty slider. And you know how Julio Rodriguez used to swing a lot at the slider low and away? That's kind of at what Kade Anderson does with his changeup. So Cade's been phenomenal. Like I'm so excited to see him pitch. And I think he's that changeup is like one of the biggest adjustments that he's made since spring training. Spring training, Kade Anderson was good, but not great yet. This Kade Anderson going into the major leagues now is much different. Like the development has been really fast and much, much different than what he's been in the spring training. Super excited. But going into the Cubs, because Cubs are a really good team. So bringing in Kade Anderson doesn't solve all the issues that the Mariners have, but it does solve quite a bit of it. Alex, what do you think of the Cubs team so far?
Um, the Cubs team, right?
Let's start with the offense.
Yeah, PCA, he's had a massive step up, right? And PCA's been, there's clips of him with his some awful defense last year. Well, this year, I mean, he was still like pretty good, I'd say, but there were some awful clips last year. This year he's been amazing, right? Amazing on defense and amazing on offense. Like he leads the league in WAR in center field in the National League. So that speaks for himself. He's their star player. Um, and they signed Bregman, and Bregman's been decent this year. He hasn't been like the usual Alex Bregman that we expect. But this PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong, he's been really carrying this team, I'd say, from that point on. They got some other good guys. Seiya Suzuki, he was also pretty good in the past, but he's also been doing pretty solid. And they got a ton of other guys who are like pretty decent, not amazing, but on average, their team is pretty good. Like even their lower level players are still like average or above average, which is different than like the Mariners per se, where our lower level guys are below average. So their offense is definitely something to be concerned about.
Yep. It's the offense mostly. The pitching staff to me doesn't seem too great. I mean, like their best pitcher right now is Shota Imanaga. He was extremely good in 2024. 2025 he kind of regressed, and then 2026 he's kind of mid in the middle there. And his his four seam fastball isn't too fast. It's 91.6 miles an hour on average, climbs up to 94, but like 94 is still not a lot for a major league starting pitcher. But the thing that really gets players is the ride. I mean, he throws it 40% of the time, and the riding fastball is the thing that gets players out. So I want to see first pitch, hunt the fastball, and see what he wants to do. See how his strategy adjusts. Make him adjust to your offense. Make don't let the pitchers make you adjust to their pitching style. Don't let them make you swing at a slider low and away. Make them adjust. Don't swing at the slider low and away. He's gonna have to now throw it in the zone. Oh, throw it in the zone. That's a cookie. Get it out of the ballpark. Make all these pitchers adjust to your playing style, and you'll win the game. And so Imanaga's fastball is great. His split finger, 30% of the time he uses it. That's another big one. I mean, especially paired with that riding fastball, that is a pretty big drastic difference. You can't really hunt the fastball and hit the splitter. That's kind of the issue there. But I'd love to see the Mariners hunt the fastball still. Don't be scared of swinging and missing. That this is the type of guy that will get swing and miss. but will give you runs if you're aggressive enough. The sweeper he doesn't use as much, but that one kind of the same thing as the splitter, has a lot of movement, and if you're too careful, you're not going to be able to swing at anything. So hunt the four seam. That's it. I think the Mariners can do that.
Yeah, another thing with the Cubs is that, Craig Counsell's a really good manager. He's good at taking advantage of these teams who don't have that much star power, but they have a lot of roster depth, right? He did this with Milwaukee, and I think he's doing an even better job with the Cubs ever since he took over for the Cubs manager. So, he is able to maximize their roster. So even if it doesn't seem like they're like super have like all these super duper stars, they're good enough to where he can take advantage of these players and utilize them in their strength. So that's what I'd say. Their bullpen I think is pretty decent. It's not like superstar driven, and their starting pitching I think is kind of a weak link. So if there is a time for the offense to prove that they finally got it, this would be a really good time. And I see you brought him back.
Yeah, especially against left-handed pitching. This Nittany Julian tends to be right-handed, so don't make me think that he should be platooning for Dominic Canzone. I mean, like the Mariners have struggled against left-handed pitching, but as of late, should be good. I'm excited to see this series. I think this is a new look Mariners, and I the Astros and the Cubs series really proved something to me in terms of the mental of this team in the Cubs series. Let's keep it going. Let us know what you guys think. Should Nittany Julian be batting for the Mariners, or do we want the nine guys that we have on the field? Victor Robles, let me know what you guys think about him. And Alex, do you have anything you want to read from the comments?
Um, Thank you guys for leaving all those comments and giving us like and watching our videos. It means a lot to us. And we do spend good amount of time, filming these videos and watching the Mariners. And unfortunately, this year hasn't been as great as last year, but we're still pumping out content for you guys.
Yeah. And let us know what you think about Cade Anderson. That's the big one. I want to know what you guys think about him because I am really, really pumped to see him. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and our beautiful faces on YouTube. Check out our Instagram. And as always, go Mariners.
Go Mariners.